Have you ever spent hours studying only to wake up the next morning and realize you remember almost nothing? Or read the same paragraph 3 times and still feel like your brain refuses to cooperate? Meanwhile, Japanese students manage to memorize over 2,000 kanji, symbols far more complex than anything most of us study, and they remember them for life. How is that possible? And here's the strangest part. Some of them feel more awake after 5 hours of sleep than after 8. What do they know about learning and energy that the rest of us don't? The truth is, your brain isn't broken. It's simply following rules you were never taught. Most people study in a way that works against their biology. Long, unfocused sessions, late-night cramming, heavy meals that drain energy, and sleep patterns that disrupt memory instead of strengthening it. That's why you forget quickly, feel tired even after 8 hours of sleep, and struggle to stay focused. Japanese students, on the other hand, don't rely on willpower alone. They build small, consistent habits that align with how the brain actually works. Their mornings begin with natural light and a few minutes of gentle movement, a simple routine that boosts recall by up to 20%. They review old material before learning something new, using active recall instead of passive rereading. They practice harahachi-bu, eating until they're about 80% full, keeping their energy stable throughout the day. And they sleep in cycles that match the brain's rhythm, waking up at the right moment instead of waking up exhausted. None of these habits are extreme, yet together they create a system that helps them learn faster, remember longer, and feel sharper. And the best part, you can start applying these same habits today. Imagine a typical morning in Japan. Before their first class even begins, many students step outside, breathe in the crisp air, and walk for just 10 minutes. It looks simple, even insignificant, but this tiny routine wakes up their entire nervous system. Studies show that even light movement can raise your heart rate just enough to increase blood flow to the brain, boosting recall by almost 20%. And when that movement is paired with natural sunlight, something powerful happens. Your cortisol levels rise at the right time of day, signaling your internal clock that it's time to wake up, focus, and learn. Most of us start our mornings in the opposite way, scrolling in bed, exposing our eyes to blue light before we even see the sun, eating a heavy breakfast, and rushing into work or class already drained. No wonder it's hard to retain anything. Japanese students often begin by reviewing yesterday's material before touching anything new. This isn't random. It's active recall, the most scientifically proven method to strengthen memory. By forcing the brain to pull information out instead of simply rereading it, they create stronger neural pathways in just a few minutes. Some have small rituals too, brewing a cup of green tea, tidying their desk, arranging their pens. These rituals aren't about perfection. They're signals to the brain, cues that say, it's time to focus. And because these routines are repeated every single day, they become automatic. No struggle, no overthinking, no wasted mental energy. When your morning rhythm aligns with your biology, your brain stops fighting you and starts helping you, and the rest of your day becomes dramatically easier. Once their minds are fully awake, Japanese students shift into a style of studying that looks almost effortless. But it's built on principles most people never learn. The first is active recall, the idea that you remember more by pulling information out of your brain than by pushing more in. Instead of rereading a page 5 times, they close the book, quiz themselves, or rewrite key points from memory. It feels harder, but that difficulty is exactly what strengthens the neural pathways that store long-term knowledge. The second principle is spaced repetition. Instead of trying to memorize everything in one sitting, they revisit material on a schedule that matches the brain's natural forgetting curve. The same day, the next day, then day 4, then day 7. Each review is short but incredibly effective because it catches the memory right before it fades. And then there's the 40-10 rule, 40 minutes of deep focus followed by a 10-minute break. This rhythm prevents burnout while keeping the brain in a high-performance zone. Those 10 minutes aren't wasted time. They allow the mind to recover just enough to stay sharp for the next session. Underneath all of this is kaizen, improving by just 1% each day. Japanese culture embraces progress through tiny steps, not giant leaps. A student might learn only one extra kanji, write one clean summary, or organize one small part of their notes, but compounded over weeks and months, that 1% builds mastery. It's not about being gifted or disciplined. It's about building a system where consistency beats intensity, and small habits quietly create big results. When you study the way your brain is wired to learn, you don't just work harder, you work smarter. If learning is the input, sleep is the system that saves it. But most people misunderstand how sleep actually works. You've probably had nights where you slept 8 hours and still woke up exhausted, while other times you slept far less and somehow felt alert. This isn't random, it's the rhythm of your sleep cycles. Your brain moves through 90-minute cycles of light sleep, deep sleep, and REM. Wake up in the middle of deep sleep, and you feel foggy for hours. Wake up at the end of a cycle, even if the total time is shorter, and you can feel strangely energized. That's why a well-timed 5-hour sleep can feel better than an 8-hour one. Japanese students use this understanding to their advantage. Many avoid studying or eating heavy meals late at night because it disrupts these cycles. Instead, they practice hara-hachi-bu, stopping at around 80% fullness so their body doesn't spend the entire evening digesting food. A lighter meal means clearer thinking and better quality sleep. And before bed, they take just 5 to 10 minutes to review key ideas from the day. This tiny habit sends a powerful signal to the brain. These memories matter. Protect them. During REM sleep, the brain strengthens the connections it deems valuable, and that short nighttime review pushes your memories to the top of the list. They also dim their lights, avoid screens, and follow consistent nightly rituals. Again, nothing extreme. Just gentle habits that help the mind settle. When your recovery matches the way your brain consolidates knowledge, learning stops being a struggle. You simply wake up sharper, calmer, and more ready for the next 90-minute block. All these habits, morning light, active recall, spaced repetition, mindful eating, and sleeping in cycles, work even better when they're tied to something deeper, your identity. Most people approach learning with the mindset of, I'm trying to study more, or I hope I can stay focused today. But Japanese students often take a different approach. They see themselves as people who learn consistently, people who grow through small steps, people who show up even when motivation fades. That identity creates stability. It removes the pressure to be perfect and replaces it with a quiet commitment to keep going. Instead of relying on motivation, they rely on systems. Instead of pushing harder when tired, they adjust their rhythm. And instead of seeking shortcuts, they strengthen fundamentals. One of the most powerful habits they use is teaching what they learn. Explaining a concept, even to a friend, a sibling, or an empty room, forces the brain to reorganize information clearly. It's one of the fastest ways to solidify memory. They also embrace stillness. The moments when you pause, breathe, or simply sit with your thoughts aren't wasted time. They're when your brain knits ideas together, like roots growing underground before a sprout breaks through the soil. When you shift from I'm trying to I am, from hoping to become better to becoming the kind of person who improves daily, learning stops being a chore. It becomes a natural part of who you are. So let's bring everything together. Japanese students don't learn faster because they're naturally gifted. They learn faster because their habits match the way the brain is designed to work. Morning sunlight and light movement wake up their focus. Active recall and spaced repetition lock information into long-term memory. Kaizen keeps them improving just 1% at a time. Hara-hachi-bu stabilizes their energy, and sleeping in the right cycles helps their brain store everything they learned. These habits are small, almost deceptively simple, but over time they transform how you learn, how you feel, and who you become. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, walk for 10 minutes before you study. Tonight, review your notes for just 5 minutes before bed. Start with one tiny habit, and let that be the first step toward becoming a fast learner, one day and 1% at a time.